Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to the camp information session for Upper Primary. We're having to use the microphone because you've got the live feed for people who are watching it online, so they can't hear us if we don't use the microphone. I know we've only got a small group today, but we have to keep using it so they can pick up all the information. I hope this is going to be a really beneficial session for you. I hope you can ask any questions that you have. I'm hoping that you'll learn a lot of information from Miss Wanda, who is representing the A-Team Adventures Limited, the same camp company we went with last year. We had some fantastic experiences, and I'm really hoping we can build on that this year in this new environment. And hopefully the children will have a lot of fun and get a lot out of it. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Miss Wanda, who will share some more information.
Thanks, Bill. Okay, so it's quite a big difference. Yesterday we did the lower primary and a lot more parents showed up. So I think as your kids grow older, you just feel less needed to be there and to say, oh, this is my baby. I want to know, what's happening. And this is the same case as we do secondary. By the time they get to secondary 3, almost 0 parents show up. So there you are, the steps of evolution and progression for kids and parents. Um, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the 3-day, 2-night trip that we are planning for Montessori on Chun Chao. Last year we went to Wang Yi Chao, which is a island off of Sai Kung, and it's an island that you can only get to by ferry. And we did a lot of environmental studies. So again, it was children getting accustomed and used to nature. We did an intertidal zone study. We did a mangrove study. We did some kayaking and some adventure-based stuff as well to get them to challenge themselves. This year, we've decided on Chern Chow, and that's working very closely with Teresa Zai, the curriculum coordinator of IMS, because the students are kind of looking at migration and they're looking about culture and history. And when this was presented to us, I said, well, what better place to take the children than to Chern Chow? How many of you have been to Chern Chow before? Quite a number of you. But did you know that Chern Chow is the cradle of Hong Kong civilization? So civilization started off of the South China Sea in Chern Chow over 3,500 years ago. And there are rock carvings right through Chern Chow that we're going to show the kids and why civilization chose that area. And I'll tell you about it as well today so that when kids come home, you can ask them, because it's part of their adventure tour. And I really want to encourage parents because it's 3 days of learning. When they come home, instead of just saying, hey, did you have fun? And they might say, well, no, not really, because I didn't get to sleep with the dorm mate I want. But ask them what they've learned, and because that's actually the true experience. Because sometimes fun and not fun is quite subjective and it's measured. And part of it is supposed to be fun, but a lot of it is going to be taught at school and be reflected as well. So before I really start, I want to give you a little briefing about our organization or our company. We've been around for many, many years, over 5 actually, really specialized in tailored made programs. And we work from the reverse of a lot of other companies that are also, of course, very good. Dragonfly APA. They usually have a program set in the school buy into the program. We're a very small company, but we tailored the program to the needs of school. So I come in here and I spend 2 days working with Teresa and with Bill and the principal, and they tell me what they want, and I want to make sure that the activities that the students do touches upon that. So um, all of our instructors are qualified outdoor instructors, and I'm going to be very quickly briefing you on them. This is Anthony Somerset, and he's our director. He's a Kiwi and actually was a solicitor in Hong Kong as well. So he does all of our legal documents. Every child is insured, and we have public liability and all of that stuff. That's me. I'm Canadian. I've been teaching for 17 years, front line actually, before I started this organization. So curriculum development is something that is very close to my heart, and I understand how the school works. Um, Another Anthony, we call him Tony, and he's our safety and risk assessment officer, Australian, over 10 years in the Australian Army. So he goes through all of the sites to make sure everything is risk assessed. John, who's our program manager, American guy who's been taking tours in Alaska and through Turkey and Mexico. So really well versed in the outdoor industry. Esther, who's also a registered teacher from works with kids as well. And actually, she was a frontline teaching for many years until she realized that you could still teach outdoors as well, but teach differently using a different type of methodology. Ollie, who's actually born and raised in Hong Kong, is of our team, and Priscilla, who's local Hong Kong staff. She is in charge of all of our aquatic safety. She's got first aid and everything else. And Bibi is the person that does all of our logistics. So as you can see, we've got a pretty close-knit team and a pretty professional team. Churchill is just sort of located right there. So the kids will be meeting on Hong Kong Island right about, ferry up here, and then we take the ferry right across to Churchill. And it's kind of like a dog shape or a dragon shape. And most of our activities will happen right in this area in M1, where we do all the kayaking. And our camp is right up there where the students are camping. So this part of Churchill is really busy, but not actually in that area. And 35-minute or 55-minute ferry ride, depending on the fast or slow ferry. And there are no cars on the ferry, so it's no cars on the island. I beg your pardon. So it's incredibly safe. And there are several microclimates we'll be talking to the kids about as well. And again, this is just a little bit about what Teresa and I have sat down to do. It's about learning about Hong Kong history and culture. And they're just starting to learn about myths and legends and how that is reflected in society, particularly the Cantonese society as well. So we'll be taking them in to see different types of shrines and temples, walk past them and talk a little bit about those. Here's Kun Yam Wan. Our kayaking center is right here, and this is where we'll be taking all of the kayaking. And this is where they'll be doing some of the beach games. There is a full first aid and lifeguard facility there by the government already, but we're also providing our instructors. So it's a set day schedule, and it's very structured. And each day they'll go through one of the activities. They'll rotate through them. So there's 9 altogether. There's some team building games. There's rock climbing, intertidal zone studies, which we're actually going to improve but make it much more deeper last year. Sea kayaking, a sampan ride to the pirate cave, shelter building, a night hike, a cultural tour, and a scavenger hunt. I'll go through some of the activities in a minute. This is Bradbury Camp. This is where they'll be staying. It is we have booked the entire camp, so we have full lockdown, and there's security 24 hours as well. And there's a big, huge tennis court in that area and canteen. So this is run by the Hong Kong government. So in terms of regulations, fire safety, and everything meets all that kind of standard. There's 2 types of dorms the kids will be staying at. It's either a bunk bed dorm, which is for 7, or it's going to be a 10-person dorm like this. Parents, you don't need to take any pictures because this PowerPoint is going to be left for Bill to upload online. So there's no need to do that. And the packing list, Bill's got that for the kids as well, right? And there's a bathroom. There's 2 toilets and 2 showers in each one of these rooms kids will be at. And then for the big dorm rooms, there's also a public bathroom, 6 bathrooms and 6 showers that is shared as well, right next to the big dorm. So the facilities are actually quite extensive. So we're going to take the kids through the cultural tour where we'll look at some of the temples, we'll look at some of the shrines and some of the ancestral temples and learn a little bit about the Chinese culture and heritage. We're also going to talk a little bit about Hong Kong and how it developed and what made Cheung Chau such an incredible place 3,500 years ago, basically on survival and shelter, and then looking at Hong Kong Mission Village to a modern-day metropolis. We'll be involved in some sea kayaking, and we're doing it in a sheltered area. I'll show you in the Churchill area, a shelter bay. They're going to be involved in some rock climbing, and we just took a group of German Swiss students that were much younger. They're actually only in grade 2, and we did the rock climb with them, and it was perfectly fine. So they'll be involved in some of that. They'll be involved right in the same area on learning about the environment and intertidal zones. We'll be learning to identify some of the species and how the symbiotic relationship between salt water and the fresh water that area as well. We'll do some shelter building, picking up bits and pieces, but actually picking up bits and pieces from a woodland area that we're going to take them to, and learning to build a shelter where they can all kind of stay in there. And then we do a little water test where we throw water into the shelter and to see that actually they can survive that shelter. And it's really about the kids being really creative. And it's also a way at the end they actually pitch their shelter, why their shelter should be chosen as the shelter for the whole group. And they talk about it being, it fits everybody into it. And so they've got to collaborate. And it's a lot of collaborative thinking as well. They do some team building activities on the beach where they'll discuss what they're going to do and who's going to do what. And then we reflect on that. And it's about 3 days worth of full-on activities. Because it's only an hour ride from Central, they get a lot out of the first day. As soon as they arrive on the island, the activity starts. They leave after lunch the next day. So it's really two full days in a row. All right, this is our ratios for student to our staff, not including the Montessori teachers. This is our staff alone. So by the EDB guideline or the Hong Kong Education Bureau requirement, we have 1 to 12 for land activities and 1 to 6 for water activities. And then all the students who are doing water activities will have a PFD or a life jacket. For emergency cases, there is a hospital right 4 minutes from the beach, right on Chuan Chao. But every single one of our staff is first aid, advanced first aid, or wilderness first aid trained. So we're quite prepared. Now here's the packing list. I want you to listen. You don't need to write anything down. And I really want the kids to start packing themselves because, and I'm going to go through it with you just so that you know. And if they ask you why they're doing it. And the reason is that I think parents who've done it with us last year, their kids have packed the whole idea of learning to read the list and pack their own things, that development. We've had kids who've gone on camp and started thinking that they couldn't find where underwear is. Mom's packed it so well into a little bag, or they've got Ziploc bags that says day 1, day 2, day 3. No, kids don't pack that. So, and that's really not teaching them how to be self-independent to promote this. So when Bill provides the packing list for the kids, try to get them to sort out the stuff first, and you can look over it and explain things to them. So they'll need a notebook and a pen and a pencil because we're going to do some reflection, and they will take some notes. Water bottle, I would say at least a liter because, not these little tiny mini ones, but a refillable water bottle. A knapsack, a head torch because they will do some night games and night activity, sunglasses with tie, and healthy snacks if you should wish to provide your child. We actually provide fruit. We ask that it be healthy. 2 t-shirts, a large plastic bag. And this is actually for them to put their wet clothes or their dirty clothes. 2 pairs of shorts. A small plastic bag times 2, and that's for them to put their wet shoes or socks or things that are a little more dirty. An old pair of runners or walking shoes, and this is not including the runner that they're wearing already. Actually, oh sorry, that's what's, I beg your pardon, this is what they're wearing. This part, and I'll show you what a pair of water shoe looks like. A light rainproof waterproof jacket, a sun hat, swimsuit, because they are going to be kayaking and doing such activities, so they'll be swimming a little bit in the water as well. Closed-toe shoes is really, really important. They don't have water shoes, a pair of runners will do. And the closed-toe shoes, they do go out into beach area. There are sharp objects like or a shell to step on. Towel, 2 pairs of socks to wear, toothpaste, insect repellent, sunblock. I think you can read that. All of it is quite self-explanatory. The flip-flop is for them to wear into the shower, should they wish. These are the water shoes, or the closed-toe shoes, and you can get them in Taobao for about $25. If not, an old pair of running shoes will do justice. What will not work, Mom and Dad, are the Crocs and these sandals because the toes are open here, and sometimes they just, just kick into a stone. and their toes start bleeding and their feet just kind of ruins the trip for them because there's quite a bit of walking. And these don't work as well because they float away. They're so light in the water that as soon as there's a bit of waves, they just get off they go. So we've had instructors having to chase, like swim after crocs. So, and that's it. And just please, 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 healthy snacks because some parents give. If you have 4 parents doing that, sleep at night. They're so high energy that next day tired. We will be able to provide you with about a month of just a little bit of the food list from the camp. So when that is out, we will provide you and we supplement animals for snacks. So kids get plenty. That's about it. Questions you want to ask me? To Churchill. So the interesting thing about this island here is that we're right in this little shelter bay area. So they'll be kayaking. They're not kayaking up here to the bay. As you can see, Churchill has many of these little bays, and it's actually 2 different islands. It's one here. So Churchill is a tombolo. Tombolo that took 30 million years to form. Sandbank very rare that sandbank that size is regardless of stage, high tide, low tide, is out of water. So 3,000 years ago, when small fishing boats to this area, it just basically freshwater source. There's nice climate. It's got fertile water. And it made like the perfect location time for people to settle on and settle in actually. So we tell the kids, and that's shelter the little activity as well. So they're to do teachers that there is a medical form, and this is really to us, that's going to, we do this every year. Please fill that out so that we can cater situation dietary that you need. So kids might be allergic to food. We are a nut-free establishment. Nothing we serve has already. But for food, for beef, stuff like that, just we can work with ELSA, which is a Jewish school. We understand how kosher all of the PE teachers are some of the teachers from here, so very good staff. No parents, you cannot visit while your kids are there. Oh yes, Bill will hand out the schedule. So I can actually, it will be. I will make sure that I'll add this onto this before it goes up online, so you can see when they arrive, what time, what they do. So yeah, I didn't put it onto the. I can add that. They'll put that online. Check. So as soon as they arrive, there's 9 activities and rotate through. So each child will do all of the activities. Yep. So yeah, it's there. There's a day pack there. Yep. So yeah, it's there. It will be on the packing list. So this is just the backpack. This backpack here is the same size as mine, and the packing personal. I'm pretty sure I have it. Oh yes, right here. Yeah, a small day pack. There you go. Yeah. So because the kids actually will be in dormitories and they will be staying, when they go in the dormitory there with the mattress, and we will provide them with clean sheets and pillowcases and a duvet cover. And one of the lessons is actually to make sure they learn how to make their bed and tuck their sheets in. So no sleeping bag is necessary this year, mom and dad. And they will have to learn how to strip that bed and put the pillowcases, the sheet, and the duvet cover back into the right places for washing as well. And that's part of that learning experience that they get. So my knapsack is 40 liters, and it shouldn't their knapsack shouldn't be bigger than this. With all of their 3 days worth of stuff. So and make sure that they do have a little waist strap like this so that they can buckle that up onto their waist as they're walking. They're not doing a lot of walking, just about 15, 20 minutes up to the hostel, 15 minutes actually, up to the hostel, and that's it. And they put their bag down. And every day when they go out, they carry their little day pack with their water bottle, their sun cream, um, and then their snack, which will be given to them at whichever rotation they're at. And water refills are at every station they're at as well. Mhm. Yeah, I think that is something that teachers will, like, I mean, there's not enough teachers. If they're really uncomfortable, I think yes, but at the same time, push them. So, we've got enough staff. Instead of two buddies kayaking, maybe they'll be kayaking with a teacher or with an instructor instead. So that gives them a little bit more courage. And if it's rock climbing, maybe they'll go up together with the teacher. So I think we can work around that because to say that, oh, because you're uncomfortable and you don't have to do it, they're really not challenging themselves. And that's really not the message we send to the kids, that we can do it with them and guide them. We can. Yes, all of their lunches are picnic lunches, so they get to eat outside. The only unfortunate thing from this year and last year that's slightly different is the kids get to cook last year at camp. But the lunch is actually self-prepared almost. We get the kids to help us do a lot of the cutting and chopping for salads, and then they serve each other. So we really want, I know that this is one of the Montessori things, is to get kids to be, independent learners and to actually be able to serve each other in society as well. So every activity we do, we have given quite a lot of thought. So for the lunch, they'll be having wraps, for example. We'll have one kid actually serving all the children wraps and another one, behind and say, would you like a piece of ham? And then there's cheese and, so that they are part of that process. And don't think of this campus, they're going to go and just, enjoy the activities. They're actually working with our staff and we are working with the school to make sure that every activity is a learning lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
Back to the self-challenge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
My son is quite active at play,
Mm-hmm.
and we have done the previous school they had a similar camp,
Yep.
and we kind of broke down this the panic,
Mm,
they
mm.
tried to let the child
Mm, mm.
so that's really stayed
Yeah.
in mind. So I don't want that to happen again.
Sure.
Try a lot for it.
Yeah.
So
So
I kind of want to know how much they would encourage and when do they do it.
yeah, I think that the teachers here will probably know your kid pretty well, but I can tell you there's two ways of doing this, right? One is actually from on the side, you can't see it, but there's a little thing that goes up from here. They step on that part. One is going up and that's climbing up, and the other one is abseiling down. So let's say if your child is not comfortable of going up that far, maybe with a harness he's willing to go up to about there, and that's okay.
You know, and if that's, and maybe as far up as, you know, let's say Bill can hold his arm up to touch him and say, okay, I don't want to go any further. That's okay too. So I think we can work around that. As long as you let us know, then it's not going to be a problem. We're not going to push and push to that part. But we do want the kids to challenge themselves. Yeah. And there's going to be a buddy system too, you know, so putting on the harness and the life jacket, it's not just putting it on and, hey, does everybody have it on? They're in a buddy system and say, can you please check your buddy to make sure, you know, they've got all the buckles, that it's tight and their zipper is up. And, you know, so all of that, they're actually learning to take care of themselves, but also their buddy. And certainly the instructor does the final check, but, you know, that's part of that lesson, yeah, in it. Yeah, so there's a night hike that they do, and in the night hike we get them to the kids here. I don't want them to hear about the night hike. So we get them to learn about the sounds at night, where they make little fox ears, and we give them cones to hear. We also have a bat detector, and they can actually figure out, you know, the echolocation of the bats, and they're in different groups, and that we get them to learn about the fact that humans can actually do have night vision, although it's not as great as dogs and cats, for example. The rods and cones in our eyes will adjust, and there's little activities to get them to try to figure out what color it is at night, and you know why it's that shade and stuff like that. And they do a little night rotation, and then they flash things in the flashlight to see the kind of animals they can see at night, and it's usually just moths and things like that. So then we play a few night games, which gets them thinking about echolocation and how people hear because they're blindfolded, and stuff like that. So yeah, they do have some games, and all the games that we do are reflected in either communications, or it's reflected in the their curriculum, and the teachers have asked for that. So we really try to design it so that it fits into the school and what they do as well. And even the kayaking, it is, you know, kayaking, but at the same time they're going through a bit of an obstacle course. We've got an instructor in the sea, and they have to go around it. And in order to do it, you know, if your kids are like this small, and they have to talk to each other and say, are we going right? Are we going left? You know, left, right. And you know how it's going to be done. So a lot of it is communications. It's not just taking them out on a kayak and just ha 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 enjoying that. It's really trying to get them to work with each other and figure out, you know, which side and who gets to steer, and how that steering works, and to actually to learn about nature that way. Yeah. Yeah. No, they don't need any utensils. We provide all the utensils. Yeah. So there's no need for that. So at the camp, they provide all the utensils for dinner and for breakfast, and that's fine. And then for the lunch, we have all our utensils for lunch, but the kids will help with that as well. And lunches consist of a whole wheat wrap with, there's different ones, and then there's tuna and egg salad, and as well as ham and cheese, and a whole bunch of salad, and then there's fruit, and it depends on what they want to have on in their wrap. Breakfast is at 8:30 yep, and then dinner is at 6, and lunch is at 12. Yeah. Pardon? 6. Yeah, 6 p.m. Yeah. And all throughout that time, they will have 2 snacks during the day. So between between breakfast and lunch, they're served with fruit for snack, which the instructors will carry in their bags. And then when they get onto whichever rotation it is, they'll be served their fruit, and it usually is an apple or a pear or oranges cut up. And then for the afternoon snack, it's because it's longer from lunchtime to dinner time, they're served with a granola bar. Yeah. So, so they get 2 snacks during the day. Yeah. I think a camera is a good idea. They can, but I'll let the school decide on that. You know, because every year it's slightly different. Maybe they want to do something with the curriculum, but yeah, the school can decide on that one. Yeah.
I would say for the camera, make sure it's a cheap one, because if it does get wet, then at least you haven't lost any money. So usually a waterproof camera or just one of the cheap click and roll ones, so that it's not getting damaged, because the chances are they'll leave it in the sand or they'll forget to take it out when they go kayaking and fall in the water. So I'd bring something, yeah, reusable ones probably be the safest option. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think the camera is fine. I just encourage them to take a cheap camera. Yeah. For the other electronics, there's no real need for anything else. They're going to be entertained with all the other activities going on. And just to build on what on some of the things that Wanda said, if there is anybody who's really nervous or really worried about going, and they do want that safety net of being able to call home, we're happy to take your phone numbers, and they can call at night using my phone or one of the other teachers' phones, as opposed to them bringing their own phone or device. And you'll also have my phone number, so if there's ever any emergencies and you need to get hold of somebody, you can always call me at any time, and I'll most likely answer, as long as it's not the middle of the night. And then the two main things the children always talk about are food and dorms. So the activities they don't seem to care about. They just want to know who they're sleeping with and what they're going to be eating. I can promise you there's enough food, because I'm not going to go hungry. I didn't go hungry last year. I probably eat 4 times more than all the children. It was good. We have an idea from last year the kind of things they eat, so we'll try and put those things in and make sure there's plenty of it. So, because we know we don't want anybody getting upset or going to bed hungry, so there'll be plenty of food. And for the dorms, what we've done this year is, like last year, we've let the guys pick a couple of buddies from their class, so they have some familiar friends that are in their room with them. That just gives them a little bit more comfort. And then we've tried to mix them with some other children from the other classes, so they get to bond with maybe some students they don't normally bond with as much. So we're giving them a little bit of both. So a bit of a challenge, but some familiar faces that will help ease the nerves. But like Wanda said, it's got to be challenging. There's got to be things that the children go to camp a little bit nervous about. That's what makes the experience a lot better, that they can go a lot more beneficial for them as well. They overcome some of these hurdles. Obviously, if there's something they really hate, like Wanda said, we've got the flexibility to be able to, maybe branch that group off and do something different with another group of another member of the staff, because there are so many people there. And we had it a couple of times last year where there was a couple of girls who really did not like doing the scuba diving or the snorkeling, sorry. So we took a couple of them off. We did some other activity with them more around the coastal areas, so they weren't having to go in the water as much. But the challenges are there, and I'm really big into the side of the rock climbing and the kayaking and all the adventurous side. And Wanda and Therese have worked hard on more on the curriculum side. So I think we've got a nice balance of both sides of the activities. And when we send out the presentation, I'll also include the timetable, so you'll be able to see all the logistics of what's going on when as well. So hopefully it'll run nicely, and hopefully everybody will have a good time.
I don't want you to repeat yourself because I was late, but are they going to do activities with the same group?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting because some of the challenges we were looking at, they're going to probably be in one activity group. And so, yes, if they're doing activity, they'll be doing that. They'll have a dorm group, which is different than an activity group. And then they'll have a meal group, which is different as well. So we're trying to give them as many experiences with their classmates as possible. And in that sense, it's kind of like real life. We move to different things and we work with different people in different groups. And so Bill and I looked at, I guess, to the activity group, how the students are best fitted towards each other.
And then for the meal group, every meal that they have, other than lunch, which they're serving, dinner, they're going to be serving some stuff too. We've got somebody called the CEO of their table, and they come up and get the spoons and the chopsticks and all of that. So everything is really catered to a learning experience of serving their table or their community. At the same time, there's a teacher or a staff, at least 2 adults per table of 10. And so the whole idea is to get them to have a dinner conversation and to, talk to each other, to be civilized and all of that. So we've put a lot of thought into designing this so that they get that kind of adult experience, if you like, yeah. And they will have different groups for different things. Mm-hmm. Yes, the dorms are split by gender.
So, yeah, so for pretty much for the activities, what we've done, because they're in 4 groups, so there's four different activities going on at once. So we've joined 2 dorms together, a boys' dorm with a girls' dorm, to go off to do those activities. So yeah, they're pretty much in groups of about, I think, 20 to 21, similar to the class size.
And then that again is divided into half, so that's only 10 students per group as well. Yeah. Any other questions? So after this trip, what I want you to do is you ask your kid to take you to Chunchal and show you all the stuff that they've learned, right? And they'll say, well, Mom, this rock here, or Dad, it's 3,500 years old, and you see the pair of eyes that's coming out of here? That means it's wishing for the boats to come back safely, or, you know, all the stuff that they've learned, you can test them after that. That would be a really good experience, a great family trip. Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming then.
If you do have any other questions, feel free to email me. I can answer a lot of them. I'm working with Wanda, and if I can't answer it, I'll pass it to Wanda, and we'll get an answer for you. Okay. The big thing off the packing list that they really need is the head torch. They don't need the sleeping bags like last year, because they've obviously got the dorms, as Wanda said. But the head torch is crucial. They really need that, not a hand torch, because they need to have their hands free when they're moving in the dark. And they can purchase the head torches from Stanley Market. That's where we bought them all last year when we were trying to help the children out. And they're about $40 or $50 from one of the electronic shops around there. So that's probably one of the key items off the packing list. But we'll send all the other information out. We've already sent the medical forms out as well. So we'll send a reminder out about that very soon. Okay, thank you very much for coming.